let's talk about the kill room. First of all, to start, how invested are you in the art world going into this movie? It's a movie that kind of satirizes the whole industry. How were you? What's your relationship to it going in?
Yeah, so I am a collector, a very new collector. I acquired a piece of art from my first movie, Friendsgiving.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good friend of mine who is an art advisor, was the advisor on Friendsgiving, and I just started to take a look at what she does, and it's just such a fascinating world. And I dove in with her, and just every time, she has a private tour of the works at Sotheby's, I go with her, and
Hmm.
I go with her to all these events. And so I'd say that I've been immersed in the art world since 2015, started collecting in 2017. And I mean, honestly, I've been immersed since my first, school trip to the Met in God knows how long ago. But I'd say over the last 20 years, I've just sort of been immersed in it.
Does that make this? How does that make you feel about some of the things, some of the commentary in this film? Do you think does some of it ring true to you? Not just
Well, it
mobsters and
would,
stuff, but like the way
yeah, I mean,
people
it
react
wouldn't,
to art within that world.
yeah. So it wouldn't be, I wouldn't have done the film if it didn't ring true, or I wouldn't have it in the film, being the film's director. So a lot of it rings true to me. The value people place on art, and really it's almost about who makes the art. It's just as much about who makes the art as it is about the art itself.
Right. That's interesting. Speaking of the art in the movie is you know, all judgment aside, it's pretty awful. Like it seems like it's meant to be pretty awful. At least the impression I get. If
Well, yeah, I mean, the art Reggie makes is certainly awful because it was important that he's not a you can't it was important that he not be a good artist. But I think the stacked bags are, I think they're pretty neat.
the funny thing about the stacked bags is that was the thing that most to me seemed like something that I would see and people would probably like add some sort of value that probably doesn't deserve to be there.
100%. I mean, you look at the Brillo boxes with Andy Warhol. I mean, the plastic bags stacked up. I think they're cooler. Dare I say it?
Well, my question was going to be who actually does the art within the movie? Like who actually makes it?
Well, yeah. So my production designer, Maite Perez Nieves, she basically auditioned a few artists, and their names are not on the terrible art, but we had an artist do the stacked bags, and I think he did them quite brilliantly. But the bad art, it took more time to do the bad art than to do the stacked bags,
Mm-hmm.
because I basically was taking artists and telling them to, like, I was stripping them of their artistic acumen and telling them to just do it like worse and worse. They came to me with like colors that were mixed at first, and I was like, there's no way Reggie's mixing colors. Like, he's primary, he's red, blue, and yellow,
Yeah. I
and
think
there's texture.
that would be difficult because you want it to be bad, but you want it to be a certain kind of bad.
Of course. So
Yeah.
that was the hardest part. That took, I think, about 15 to 20 different versions to get to.
You mentioned Friendsgiving earlier. It's a film that we've reviewed on our site. How has been your experience moving from that film to this one? Is there things that you learned from that film that you were able to bring over to this one?
Sure. I mean, vastly different, right? Like, I wrote Friendsgiving, and we did stick to the script in Friendsgiving for a lot of the main characters, but there was the ancillary characters, we did a lot of improvising, and that was not the approach I wanted to take on the kill room. So
Mm-hmm.
I worked with Jonathan Jacobson, the writer, for about 2 years on the script,
Oh, wow.
getting it to a place where I I was comfortable enough to send it out because, we've seen the story before. There's a lot of art world movies, and I wanted this one to be different, and I think that we certainly achieved that in the line that we walk between the drama of it and the comedy of it.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you about. Is that it seems like this movie has a balancing act that's kind of trying to juggle here. Because when I go into it and I look at the cast, you're kind of expecting one thing. I've been calling the cast sort of like the Tarantino wet dream movies. It's like Samuel L. Jackson, Uma Thurman, and then you get guys who seem like they should be in a Tarantino movie, like Manganiello and Maya
Yeah.
and things like that. But the movie is also very heavy on comedy, and so it's kind of balancing a balance between comedy and a bit of thriller as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I was it was all a balancing act. I made sure that the actors knew that I was not making a comedy,
Mm,
right? Because of my background, I come from the sketch comedy world. Like,
yeah,
I didn't want them to think we were making anything that was sort of farcical, and I wanted them to play the moments for the realness of the moments and not for the joke. But
right.
also on the producerial side, they were wanting me to make a straight up thriller, and so I was not making, I definitely didn't want to make a straight up thriller. We've seen those movies, those sort of, male oriented murder movies.
Yeah.
And that's not the movie I would like to make. I wanted to tell maybe a little bit more of the emotional side of why people are doing this, not just a guy's killing, but why is he doing that? Which was, it was important for me to have that be in the middle of the movie to for the audience to find out why Joe Manganiello's character is doing what he's doing, and why Uma Thurman's character is sort of in a little bit of trouble because of the way she handled her former artists and basically had a bit of morality in the art world, which some people have and some people don't.
Speaking of the cast, how was it on set with all these big actors, big personalities on together? How
Man,
was
what a bunch of divas they are. I'll tell you.
it?
No, it was incredible. You know, working with it was I definitely would panic at night, right? Thinking about, you prep all day and you're getting ready to direct Samuel L. Jackson and Uma Thurman and Joe Manganiello and Maya Hawke and Debbie Mazar and Larry Pine. And so the panic would come when I wasn't working on the script and when I wasn't doing the work, because the ideas, in your head, you create all these things that could go wrong, or how you could mess up. And really once we got into the work, it was a brilliant pleasure to work with these human beings. I mean, to be in their aura and to have conversations about, the development of Sam's character. Sam's character was Herschel, and he was 72-year-old Jewish man.
Right.
And then Uma texted me and said, like, is Sam Jackson an option for Herschel? And I was like, are you what? Of course Sam Jackson is an option for Herschel. And so, yeah. And then, we had to rewrite the script in a day, knowing it was going to Sam to sort of tailor it to him. And that's where the Black Dreidel was born. And Sam and Uma, they, as soon as you think of them for a role, like, they inform the characters in different ways. Like, the character Patrice was based on somebody, and after meeting that woman, lovely human being, but then when Uma Thurman steps into the role, it just completely differently informed. And so once they stepped into it, that's when it starts to take more breath and more shape as a project, as a movie, right? Like, the script is one thing, but then you have to take it to a new place. And when these titans stepped into it, it was an honor to work with them. Like, Uma, just so you know, this is one of my favorite moments about this was Uma brought the jacket from Kill Bill
Oh,
to direct in. And so I got to direct in,
the
you
yellow
know, the yellow leather jacket.
one? Very
Kill
nice.
Bill is one of my favorite movies, and
Hey,
I got to ask Sam Jackson for another. line for him to say MFer while wearing the Kill Bill jacket. It's like, top five, number one life moment.
That is going to be tough to beat.
I
No
know.
matter how many
I know.
movies you do.
I know. Mm.
Man, when you get people like Uma Thurman and Samuel Jackson, in these roles, I know you said that they kind of inform our interpretations of the characters just by their presence. But did they bring anything tangible? Like does Uma Thurman make suggestions about who the character should do in this scene or react in this scene? And Samuel Jackson being instructed to kind of play, black Jewish man, what is his suggestion for that role?
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, Uma and I worked very closely on everything, in the rehearsal process for the scenes, like where, even to where we were going to shoot this, and that one scene where the morning after, we're searching for new ways to shoot that gallery in a from a new perspective, and it was us coming up with that corner space with that light. It was so beautiful and brilliant, and that was a collaborative effort. And Uma was game to, we didn't have a lot of time, and so we were all just kind of collaborating together, because that gallery it was a very tiny space, so it was tricky to find different ways to shoot it. And with Sam, I worked a lot with him and his team. We had maybe, I'd say, 5 or 6 Zoom meetings on the character development, and from the look to to what he's wearing, and the facial hair, and just throwing a lot of ideas his way. And one of the meetings, he was just like, all right, I got him, I got this guy. And it's just it's really about the work, and that gray area that you shouldn't be afraid to step into as a director of the film. Like, imagine if I was timid, directing them. It's like then you're gone. The whole thing is just sort of out the door. But really, it was just about asking for what I needed.
It seems that, and this is going to be my last question, but it seems to me that, and you just sort of answered it, which is good. But it seems to me that with this, what you've taken from this movie that you'll bring to whatever you do next is a certain level of confidence that you may not have had before. Is that true?
I wouldn't say that I didn't have it before. I would say that, yeah, I mean, maybe I always think of things like, I'll think of one idea and then I'm like, or it could be this, or it could be that, or it could be, and I entertain them all, and I feel it out to find what way I would like to do something. Because you're staring at a blank page, like you could write anything,
Right.
or the scene could be about all different tones and all different things. And so I think I learned to trust my instincts more.
There you go. I
Yeah.
like that. That's a good way to end, I think. Nicole, this has been great. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk to me about the Kill Room. Good luck.
My pleasure.
Good luck to you with the film, and I hope to talk to you again for whatever your next project is. You have any ideas on what that's going to be yet?
Yeah, so I have a script called Bulldog Barb. It's a little bit more of, it's a female UFC comedy. And
Okay.
so that's floating around out there now that the writer's strike is over. And so I'm ready to sign with a production company and get the ball moving.
All right. Any casting on that yet? Or
Not yet.
too early? Okay.
Too little too early.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing more about that and to talking to you about that whenever it gets rolling. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Travis.
Thanks, Nicole. Thanks.
Great talking to you.
Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.